So you're thinking about moving to Platte City, Missouri. Well, it's your lucky day. In this video, we are going to take a look at the map of Platte City, Missouri, show you how to get around, where everything's at, what you need to know. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to tell you some of my favorite things about Platte City and some of the things that I think you really ought to know before you move there. Hey, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you want to know everything there is about living in Kansas City and places like Platte City, Missouri, then click subscribe, hit that little bell for notifications so you can be the next to know of the current market here in the KC metro area. My name is Zach Morton. My business partner Max Jones, the Mojo Real Estate team, and I have been helping people move to Kansas City for over 20 years. We absolutely love it, but you don't have to take my word for it. See what our clients have to say with over 600 Google reviews from people just like you. 5-star Google reviews, by the way. So whether you're moving in 2 days or 25 days, you can pick up the phone, you can give us a call, shoot us a text, drop us an email, even schedule a Zoom. All that info is in the description below. So, like I said, let's dive into this map. We are in Platte City, Missouri today, which is on the Missouri side and north of the river. So let's pull the map up here. We are using the Google map, and as you can see right here in the middle of my screen, highlighted, we have Platte City, Missouri. It's a pretty small area. It is, let me see here, 3.65 square miles for Platte City proper. If you zoom out and we take into account the school district, which most people, that's what they're actually looking for when they're moving into an area, especially the people with kids, is they're not necessarily looking for Platte City. I want that Platte City address and Platte City, the city, but I want to be in the school district. So that gives you a lot more space. And let me go ahead and type that in real quick just so you can see the difference. Like I said, this is about 3.65 square miles, and then we've got the Platte County R3 school district, which is, if you can see that, I'm going to go ahead and highlight it because it is kind of hard to see here, but that takes us out a little bit and encompasses much more ground. So 105 square miles of real estate here puts you into that Platte City school, or the Platte County R3 school district. So pretty big school district, takes you all the way down here by I-29 and 152, which that is going to be, if you're living in this Platte City up north here or close to town, this is going to be your major shopping area. So that's where you're going to be traveling for any of your big box stores, Home Depots, Lowe's, Kohl's, Hobby Lobby, all kinds of stuff. There's nicer restaurants and, you know, all the stuff you kind of expect to find, and that's right at that intersection there. So let me go ahead and clean that up, and let me go back just to Platte City proper. There we go. All right, so where are we located in regards to Kansas City? I like to start all my videos out. If you've seen other videos on other neighborhoods like Overland Park, we've done all these, Liberty, Blue Springs, yada yada. I like to start out with Kansas City is Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that right out of the gate. And then we're also sort of divided, besides Kansas City, Kansas, and Missouri, there's also a Northland, or north of the river, and south, or south of the river. And they almost have just as much bearing as being in Kansas or Missouri, or at least to us folks that live here. So what divides the state is we've got this Missouri River running through here, and we get to the state line, and that drops straight down. So everything on this side is Mo, everything on this side is Kansas. As you can tell from this map, anything that's kind of highlighted is the greater metro area. And then we have this river that continues to run all the way across the state, all the way to St. Louis. And this is what divides the north land from anything south of the river. So you can live south of the river, be in Kansas or Missouri, but if you're north of the river, you're primarily in Missouri. So just everybody should know that when you're coming here, because that's how all the locals are going to be talking, and just kind of helps you get around and know what's going on. Platte City falls right in the most kind of northwest area that's still within city limits. So the population up here for Platte City proper, you're looking at 4,784 people. So not very big. But then when you zoom out and take a look at the school district, like we often do to really get a feel for the area, that 100 square miles is coming in at 24,000 people. So still relatively small feel to it. compared to what our biggest suburb, Overland Park down here, which has 220,000 people, just to give you an idea of the difference there. So let's clean that up. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. When you come into town, whether you're driving or flying, I'm just going to point out where the airport is. The airport is right here. So that's one of the nice things about Platte City is it is one of the closest spots to the airport. You are 10 minutes if you're traveling a lot. Makes it super easy. If your family, is picking you up at the airport, they don't have to be there waiting on you. You just put in a call when you hit the tarmac. By the time you get your bag, your family's pulling up outside, and you just hop in the car, and there's really no waiting around. We did get a brand new airport, which is beautiful. The parking has been totally upgraded, so it flows much nicer. It's just going to keep getting better and better, but the parking situation is kind of rough. But that is close, so that is a huge pro, and just down the street. And then also I'd like to point out that we have Facebook. Now we talk about Facebook, it's coming to Kansas City. They're actually currently building the facility right now, their data center. And the data center itself is going to take up over 8 million square feet. And then the actual building itself is a 1 million square foot building. It's supposed to bring tons of jobs, tons of growth, probably to the Northland. And Platte City's just down the street. So where Facebook's going in at with their huge facility is right here off of 169 Highway, just south of Smithville. So as you can see from this map, you're just I-29 to 435, you're there. I-29 to the airport. It's just super easy to get places living in Platte City. Now, there's not a whole lot going on here. We will zoom in and touch base on what's going on in Platte City, but not a lot of nightlife, not a lot of nightlife. And what you will be doing if you're looking for that, you're still going to have all your sports and kids activities. There's baseball fields up here. You may be traveling down this way to get your kids into some more competitive sports outside of school. But really you're talking, you're 15, the major intersection in the Northland on the Platte City side is going to be this 152 and I-29 where those two cross. And that's going to have, over here, you're going to have like your Home Depot, your Lowe's, your Walmarts, your big grocery stores, Kohl's. Let's just zoom in on that so you can see what's nearby. That's about 15 minutes away. So that's going to be your major shopping. There's never any traffic as far as north of 152 compared to, not much at all. This is kind of getting you outside of the city. So you're never going to have to really be dealing with traffic up to this point. Once you get south of this, if you're heading into downtown, if you're working downtown Kansas City, then your commute's more like 25 minutes and traffic will start to pick up here a little bit. But for the most part, Kansas City is known for not having much traffic, especially north of the river. So that's really not something you're going to have to deal with. Maybe during those peak rush hours, you're slowing down a little bit, but as far as stop and go rush hour traffic, unless there's major road construction or a wreck or something, you're just really not going to be running into it. Everything flows pretty good. But anyway, to zoom in like we were talking about on this 152 and I-29 kind of shopping area, right here we have Zona Rosa shopping district. So this is the super walkable shopping area. You'll pull in and you can park your car. Over here's a parking lot. They've got parking over here and all around it. But once you get in there, it's super walkable. That's what it's designed for. There's a couple restaurants, a couple bars, and then all these little shops. There is a restaurant back here called Bravo, nice big Italian restaurant. And then in the back of that is a city or a park. Well, they'll oftentimes have live music going on, so you can sit out, have some pizza or pasta out on the back patio, watch some live music. There's also a park there and a little water fountain, so the kids are playing and shooting around. So that's just a great spot. It's super contained. There's only one road coming in and out, so super safe. Well, we've got at the backside too, I guess, and over here. So I'm full of lies. There's 3 ways in and out, but this is the main one. And it's nice and quiet. You can take the kids. You can just keep an eye on them. It's just laid back, and you've got everything you want. There is, let's see, just to run through. We've got different kinds of restaurants. We've got a fine Indian restaurant. I said there's some Italian there. We've got an arcade bar back here. I can't remember the name of it. Oh, Draftcade. It's going to have drinks plus unlimited, arcade, pinball machines, all that. So that's a fun spot. The Improv Comedy Club, that is great to get your comedy on, have a good night. That's kind of our spot north of the river that kind of that everybody can enjoy without going downtown. And then everything, Express, Forever 21, The Buckle, all those Hot Topic. So all those little boutique shops are going to be here. And then you've got your Dillard's, some of your bigger stores back here. And Dick's Sporting Goods is going to be over here, Old Navy, Barnes & Noble, Michael's, and then we've got a couple restaurants on the way in and out. Granite City, Smokehouse Barbecue. If you know anything about Kansas City, we're all about our barbecue, so there's going to be a barbecue spot everywhere, and then all kinds of restaurants. So this is a great spot just to go out, have a good date night. You've got, like I said, you've got comedy. There's some Build-A-Bear, some other stuff to do with the kids, but plenty to do right there, and that's about 15 minutes south of Platte City. And then over here is going to be some fast food. There's your Lowe's, your Walmart. Just north of that, you're going to have your Home Depot, your Target, JCPenney's, Best Buy, Guitar Center, there you are. And all those shops, the big shopping area here. New restaurants going in here, First Watch, Breakfast Place, and this is all blowing up right now. And kind of the theme with Kansas City, north of the river, is they can't really build any further south, so it's all kind of coming north, and a lot of construction going on in this area and pushing north, which is going to be in that Platte County School District that I kind of showed you overlaid before. So lots of new schools will be coming. They're putting a new high school, Platte County South, that's going to be coming down the pipe pretty soon. So all kinds of newness happening right in here, just south of Platte City, that you're going to have access to. Golf course living down here, and all kinds of things to do. But let's go back to Platte City. Oh, while we're kind of zoomed out like this, I do want to point out Platte City is a city that's kind of outside of town. It's a little further out. Your cost of living's a little better. You're gonna get all those perks with being it's a little smaller town. It's a little quieter. Cost of living's better. Everything's a little more spread out. You can get acreage out there. You can build on acreage. Just kind of what you expect when you get a little further from the city. But over here is Leavenworth. Most importantly, I want to point out is Fort Leavenworth, which is this whole side. Now this is on the Kansas side, which you can see just over the river here. But a lot of people are coming. Fort Leavenworth is known as the intellectual center of the Army. So they have several colleges and schools over here, and people will come in, military personnel to go to school, to be here for a couple of years. So Leavenworth itself is about a 50-50 own versus rental place, and that's just because there is a lot of military coming in and just staying around for a couple, 4 years, get their education, and they move on again. But some of the people that are there a little long term, a little higher ranking officers will choose to live on the Platte City side because it's a little nicer, it's a little newer, more amenities, and it's closer to Kansas City. There's not a lot of great, like if you're living out here and trying to go downtown Kansas City every day, there's not a 4-lane highway system. This is kind of backcountry roads. And so is this. There's not really a quick way to get out of Leavenworth and get down there. It would be much better if you're living in Platte City, because you just hop on this highway, you're downtown in 15 minutes, and then you're over here in 30 minutes. So a lot of people will choose to do that. It's just a little more modern. The school district's a little higher rated. So they choose to live on that side. So you will see that. It's certainly not overrun with rentals. I actually personally have a rental property there, actually two. And they're not always filled by military people, but over the years I've had a couple in there and always had great experience. And in my opinion, it's great having the military folks there. They take care of their stuff, and I always love having them, and definitely appreciate their service. So anything I can do to help them out. But that's just something to point out, that you'll see that. And if you are coming into town because of the military or Fort Leavenworth, Platte City is one of those great spots that I think you should check out if that's what you're looking for. Something a little nicer, something a little closer with a little bit higher rated school district. So just something to keep in mind. So we zoom in on Platte City. Platte City, the old downtown part, starts right here. And down there you'll have your Main Street, have a couple restaurants. You can check out our vlog on Platte City, where I'm actually walking down Main Street, pointing out some of the shops, showing you some real estate around there and what it sells for, so you can get a good idea for that. But it's a pretty small, we're just talking like 2 or 3 blocks in every direction. mainly all the restaurants and shops are going to be right on that main area, but there is a couple eateries. We've got Tanner's, we've got the Bee Creek Cafe, which is a great little spot for some coffee, breakfast sandwiches, and then they have lunch stuff too, while supplies last. And then El Magway down the street a little bit is a great Mexican restaurant. So you do have a few eating options, dining options. Tanner's is a place that's been around forever. They have the super old wood floors, a couple pool tables in there, and they make a great burger. They've been smashing burgers on that grill for a long, long time. So 50 years of grease. It's one of those burgers that you just gotta taste. You probably don't want to eat it every day, but it's worth checking out. They also do famous tenderloin the size of your face. Also, don't want to eat that every day, but worth tasting once in your life. And that all happens right here in Platte City. And when you zoom outside of that, it's kind of trapped by this river, so there's not really a whole lot of, let me pull this up on this map real quick. You can tell there's not a whole lot of housing. There is some old homes that are really cool, but what comes with that, I talk about a lot with those older homes that are 150 plus years old. You get into the knob and tube wiring, the maintenance on them, and the plaster, all that can kind of be a nightmare in my opinion, unless you just like working on your house every day. So there's not a whole lot of housing options right here around that downtown area because of how it's situated and how 92 highway runs through here. We've got I-29 on the east, and then we've got the river, the Platte River on this side. So it kind of sits up on a hill a little bit, and it's kind of isolated. And then it sprawls south, where you find more of your ranch homes, stuff that's a little more modern. One of my rental properties is actually down in here. And then over here, we'll see some newer construction, the last 20 years that they built out, getting closer to the high school and around that. And then one of my favorite subdivisions that I like to point out in Platte City is, I went and definitely check that out on our blog tour, is Seven Bridges. And let's see if I can find it down here. Seven Bridges neighborhood, and maybe I will go back to this map. So this started about 20 years ago. It's beautiful, new construction. You can get 4, 5s, and 6s in here, probably at the top end of the 4s. In our vlog, there's actually 2 houses we take you through in this neighborhood. But I really like this because you're further away from the city, so this neighborhood is chock full of amenities, so you don't really need to go outside. So they've got your splash park. In this photo, the pool's closed. It's not a green pool, but swimming pool, splash park, tennis courts, and as you can see here, the size of the community center is about 3 times the size of a 3,000 square foot house. So a lot of space there that you can rent out, do different things. There's trails around, super bikeable neighborhood. Everybody in this neighborhood, or a lot of them, are gonna have golf carts, and you're gonna see, as you come in, you're gonna be driving right by the pool and see who's parked out there and drop your kids off. You can go home, get some snacks, get some clothes on, hop in the golf cart and come back in, scoop up the kids. So it's just a great little neighborhood. It is surrounded by farmland, and they're continuing to build new construction, and they've got a lot of room to grow. But just a nice, quiet, everybody's friendly, everybody gets along out there, and that's kind of Platte City in general. It's spread out, everybody minds their own business, but super friendly, and you want to be that way too, because if you're going out to get to the city, you hopping in the car, it's a big deal. It's going to take you 15-20 minutes to get down to there is a water park down south, but just a little more time. So it's nice to have those options right there in your neighborhood. So that's a subdivision that I often like to point out. And I've had several friends that live there, and they can't say enough good things about it. The school district, let me type that in again, just to touch on schools. I think, as you can see in this map right here, hopefully that's coming in nice and clear. School district's very large, 100 square miles or so. So that's about the school district. So there is all kinds of stuff to do within the school district that gets you real close to that shopping district that we talked about, the Zona Rosa area. So Platte County, the Platte County School District is an R3, which means it's a slightly smaller population. In the Platte County School District, you are going to have 4 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and 1 high school filling out that area to service all these kids. And the student to teacher ratio is actually pretty good here. So 17-to-1, so it's a lot better than some other areas, and that's because it's just a little less populated. So that's nice for, especially if your kids want to play on a lot of sports teams, get involved with a lot of different sports, try a lot of stuff out. It's easier to make those teams because it's not quite as competitive. Then you might be down here when you get into the Park Hill School District or the Liberty School District, or even the Staley School District that are some of the other top school districts in the Northland. It's just going to be a little easier to get on those teams. A-plus schools across the board on Platte City, so they are very highly rated schools and compare just fine with all the other schools that are just to the south of it that also have high ratings, so a great spot to be. In fact, I've got friends, I just living in that subdivision I just talked about, Seven Bridges, that I keep trying to get them to come down and live closer to me just so they're, you know, easier to hang out and all that stuff. But they will not leave that school district. They love it up there. Their kids love it up there. They've got everything: archery, wrestling, girls golf, soccer, football, baseball. I mean, all the sports. You can hop on those school websites if it's important to you and check out and see exactly what they have. But chock full of sports and activities and a really involved community and a really large community too. So the kids that they're going to meet in school aren't just from this little small town in Platte City. They're coming from all over. So that's kind of one of my cons. You don't have to wait around to the end to get this, that you may be living down here on a golf course, or I'm sorry, down here on this golf course, and your kids are going to catch a bus and they're going to have to ride the bus down the highway for 15 minutes just to get to high school. So it is a little further. So if you're a parent and you're going to those games, the high schools, now there are the middle schools and elementary schools closer to neighborhoods because we've got more options there. But for the one high school, you are going to be traveling to go watch these football games. 15 minutes might not be a big deal to you, but with some of the other schools that are a little closer to the neighborhood, it's just something I like to point out because that would be something that would be a con for me. Like, oh, we got to go to the game. Well, hop on the highway. Let's cruise 15 minutes. You know, whatever. It's 15 minutes, but it is a little bit of jaunt. It takes a little more time, a little more wear and tear on the car. Yada, yada. You get the point. All right, let me point out some fun stuff to do in Platte City while you're in Platte City. We can just go ahead and leave that pulled up. It's pretty obvious, Platte City proper. They have it highlighted pretty well. So there is the Prairie Creek Trailhead, which is right down there, and it comes right out of Seven Bridges. And that's gonna have miles of paved trails, walking trails over streams and creeks, over the Prairie Creek. So a really nice spot, kind of a newer hiking area. We have the Platte Falls Conservation Area, which is right here, all this dark green area. And this is going to be just on the other side of the highway. There's a couple highways. There's HH here. There's I don't know the name of this one down here, and then 92. So a couple roads that go right across the highway. So it's not difficult to get over here. It's not full of traffic. There's never any traffic here. During high points, you might have a little bit of traffic. There's a couple stoplights, but nothing crazy. So then you have access to this huge conservation area. Let me pull up the different view to kind of show you what they've got there. Oh, I like that they got the river all mapped out. So up here you've got, in the conservation area, there's a trap shooting place. Where are you at? Oh, right here. So right here you have trap shooting. So you can go out there and throw your own clay pigeons and do trap shooting. In fact, my family, I don't live in Platte City, but we'll go up there on Thanksgiving, just something to do, get outside. Everybody's been pinned up in the wintertime, so it's something to do with family. And then there's a archery range down here, which is kind of nice. It's all set up really well. You can also hunt out here. So during different rabbit seasons, squirrel seasons, deer seasons, there's designated areas where you can go hunt. And this river, they've got a really cool spot. Let me see here, like I'm driving myself in. So the Platte River, as you can see, it snakes like this. It comes back by. So anyway, you can pull into this parking lot and you can put a kayak or a canoe or whatever kind of boat in the river right here. You can float this whole thing. We did this when we were kids and put limb lines and just go fishing or just go floating, just have a good time. And you can get out right here. Then you just walk over, get your truck. It's a couple hundred yards. Drive your truck back over here, load up your boat and drive home. Or put your boat back in here and then go check all your limb lines that you did fishing for catfish or whatever you're after. So that's kind of fun. I like to point that out, but you do have access to play in the river. We used to dove hunt up there when we were kids. So there's bird hunting seasons and all kinds of stuff. It is definitely the country out here. It's just so nice to have a conservation area right next to you if you like to get outdoors and do that kind of thing. There's a camping resort over here called Basswood. They do a really good job. That's a place where you can take your RV, you can rent a cabin, you can camp. They have several little ponds or lakes. They're all stocked with fish. It's golf cart friendly. Actually, when you get there, you can rent a golf cart. And a lot of people choose to go out there and hang out in the summertime. I'll kind of zoom in on these lakes so you can kind of see it. It's set up really good, especially with small kids. There's a little general store. They have a swimming pool, tennis court, I believe. It's been a few years since we were up there. Oh, look, they got like a bouncy house thing now. That's just laid out really well and just a nice place to take a little staycation. They keep it nice and clean. RVs, tent camping, like I said, they've got it all there. So that's something fun to do, but my favorite thing to do if I was living in Platte City, you probably learned this about me in other videos, but I'm a lake guy. So Platte City there, the biggest close lake is Smithville, in the town of Smithville, Missouri. And that's only probably 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes to a boat ramp. There's several boat ramps on all sides of this lake. And this is a county lake. Corps of Engineers was actually built. Nobody lives on this lake. You can't build houses on it. So it's just public access for everybody to go out and have a good time. You can rent boats. There's marinas. You can keep your boat on a lift. You can keep your boat in storage. There's lots of storage places nearby. Take it out there. So all summer long, it is a blast. I spend some time up there myself. And then pretty much between these two bridges in the lake, out here in the main lake, it's just skiing, jet skiing, tubing, just having a blast. And then beyond that, as you can see, it kind of goes into these little fingers. It was they just dammed up some creeks. That's how so it's pretty shallow, great fishing. There's still a lot of trees poking out, but this is all no ski zones. So their party beach is over here, kind of like a party cove, but there's a big accumulation of sand over here. So a lot of people will go here in the summer and you'll just see, 100 boats pulled up on the beach. People are out there playing football, floating on rafts, having a good time, and then they'll get a posse together and jump in the boat, and then they'll go over here and do their wakeboarding or skiing and find some of these less windy coves. So that's kind of how that's laid out. There's some cool restaurant options over here too. And then I said the marina, so you can go over there and spend the day and have a great time. Also walking trails to go around most of the lake. And then you're just 15 minutes right back home to Platte City. So it's super nice having that just straight east of you. You don't have to go through any of the city traffic to get there, and just a pretty slick situation. All right, what else can I tell you? The major highways that are coming through Platte City are I-29. It takes you right into downtown Kansas City, and then 169 highway, which goes right up through Smithville, down into Kansas City. And these are kind of our highways of the Northland, and then 35. Platte City is kind of the last major city on the way out, so it does get some truck traffic, semi-trucks. In fact, Quick Trip, which is one of the highest rated gas stations in the KC metro area, you'll see them all over the place. I talk about them from time to time. They're just if you see a Quick Trip, it's reliable, it's clean, the bathrooms are clean. Quick service food, all that. It's just a super reliable spot, but they have more of a truck stop area up here, so you will see a lot of semis pulling in. It's just right off the highway exit, so they're not coming through town and messing everything up and jacking up the flow of traffic and stuff, but that's just something to know. And then you have some nice grocery store options in Platte City, because I haven't touched on that. There's a huge Price Chopper. We've got Casey's. This is also Platte City. I kind of like the towns that have the hardware stores instead of the Home Depots and Lowe's, although I do like those. There's like Ace Hardware Store. For some reason, I just grew up with those as a kid, and I don't know if it's the smell of fertilizer or what it is, but just the ability to go down all the rows and check everything out. So this is one of those towns that's going to have your Ace Hardware Store, and then there is a very large, why can't I find it? Just type in Price Chopper. Oh, here we go, Constantine. Oh, I'm in the wrong side. This is where 92 crosses. So this is, as soon as you get off the highway at Platte City, 92, which most people will exit to go to their house or to go shopping, you've got the Constantino's Price Chopper, which is a very large store. There's really not a full-on Whole Foods, but there are gonna be organic options at this Price Chopper. nice and new and pretty, and there you go, you can see a picture of it. It's massive, and that services the whole Platte City area. And there's the Mexican restaurant I was talking about, and you've got some fast food and pizza and a couple of hotels. There's a Walgreens, McDonald's, and then over here's your Quick Trip kind of truck stop. So that's on the opposite side of the road from all the stuff you'd be using on a day-to-day basis, which is kind of nice, keeps it out of the way in the thoroughbred Ford. And then on the school district, I did talk about the schools and mention there was, you know, a couple middle schools and a high school. Some other education that they have is the Northland Career Center. It's right here. And that is just a place where you can go to get vocational training. So they have like HVAC training, culinary training. There's probably a whole host of other stuff, but kids starting in high school, once they've got all their core classes done, they can start, if that's a direction they want to go, maybe college isn't for them, they want to go get some vocational tech training. This is an awesome school that serves the whole Northland. So even kids from other school districts in the north will go up there to learn and get an education in those departments. So that's great. And then there's an early it's called Great Beginnings, and that's another kind of private school or just a different kind of early education you can get that's outside of that normal public school system. All right, so that's kind of how Platte City's laid out. There is a winery to the north, Jowler Creek. Actually, some friends of mine and neighbors own that. That's a little bit further out of town, but that's something that you can do. We talked about going to the lake. We talked about the conservation area. And other than that, you know, that's it. It's a kind of a small town, and hanging out with your neighbors, some amenities in some of these neighborhoods. There is a golf course right here, Shiloh Springs, really nice golf course. So if you like golf, there's some subdivisions over here, so you can live closer to the golf course if you don't really want to be around all the families. There's also some condos and duplexes that you can rent. So a lot of housing options for everybody. They've really done a good job of mixing it up. And then it just kind of continues to grow south. And over the years, you know, the population's starting to pick up pretty heavily. People are liking it. It's less busy, great schools, and you can get a little more for your money. Let's see, I'll tell you the median house price out there. Probably worth touching on too. The crime rate is incredibly low, so a great place. You know, less people, less crime. That kind of goes hand in hand and further away from the city. But great crime rate. Eadsniche.com has it as a B+. And let's see, the median sold. This is directly from the multiple listing service, which we as real estate agents have access to, is $378,000. That's the average sales price, and the median sales price is $336,000. And like I said, there's a lot of new construction up there. So cool spot, close to the airport. So I think my number one con, I think we've talked about the map enough, just to kind of sum it up, is if your kids are going to Platte County High School and you're not living close to Platte City, you choose to live on one of these golf courses a little further to the south, that is my con, is that drive to get to the high school football games, to drop the kids off, pick them up at practice. You're putting in a lot of highway miles, not high traffic, you know, no big deal probably, but just something that you want to keep in mind. It's a little further from everything, so anytime you want to go downtown to catch a major show or a concert, we've got the Chiefs and the Royals, and those stadiums are going to be down here off I-70. So if you're going to any of that, you know, you're going to be, you know, that's kind of a jaunt. So just anything that you're going to go do, you're going to have to add about 15 minutes versus, you know, the rest of us that are living a little closer to the city just because you're out there. But again, no traffic. That's what I like about it. You're really not going to find any traffic going from for the first 15 minutes. Start to pick up a little bit after that, and just more and more population as you get closer to the city center. It's tons of stuff to do up there. You don't have to go super far to have a good time. There is a little another water park right here that has a lazy river and swimming pools and high dives and all that kind of good stuff. I forgot to mention that. We've got Worlds of Fun over here, which is a great spot for fun stuff to do in the Northland. It's our theme park with roller coasters. There's Oceans of Fun, which is right next to it. You can get the combo pass and do both at the same time. So a lot of fun stuff to do nearby and in the Northland, like we said, north of this river. It's going to keep you out of major traffic. Close to the lake, close to the airport. That is my map video. on Platte City, Missouri. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, always drop them in below. If you have any comments, you live in Platte City, think we missed something, please throw it in there. Love to hear from you. Our goals are your goals, so that's what's most important. If you're thinking about moving this direction, let's schedule a call, text, Zoom, whatever. Reach out to us so we can schedule that, really drill down on what your goals are and help you pinpoint the best area for you and your family. And I look forward to talking to you then. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.